That's our district professor, Toyin Falola, and his amiable wife. You are welcome. Please, let's appreciate Prof. Let's appreciate Prof. Let's appreciate Prof. The Vice-Chancellor of Ajayi Crowther University, thank you so much. We thank you for being always with us all the time. You are welcome. The Deputy Vice-Chancellor, Professor Mora Campbell, a member of Governing Council here that are seated. Please, let's appreciate them. Let's appreciate our member of Governing Board. Thank you. I could recognize about 3 members here. You are welcome, sir. You are welcome, ma'am. The distinguished scholars, professors from other universities, esteemed colleagues, members of the Governing Council and Management of Lee City University, special guests, ladies and gentlemen. It gives me immense pleasure and indeed a profound sense of honor to warmly welcome you all to this significant conference. On behalf of the chair of the Governing Council, that's on behalf of the Chancellor, Professor Gomola, the chairman and Pro-Chancellor of Lee City University, Professor Jide Owoeye, the management, Lee City University community, I welcome you all. I extend our heartfelt appreciation to every one of you for honoring this occasion with your presence, both physically and virtually. The conference is convened to celebrate the remarkable achievement of distinguished Professor Toyin Falola, an incredibly prolific scholar of Africa and African diaspora history, the first emeritus professor of humanities of Lee City University, the Jacob and Singer Mosquea Chair in the Humanities at University of Texas at Austin, and the most cited African historian of our time. I think he deserves a round of applause. He's a great achiever, a global achiever in all ramifications. Today, therefore, is a celebration of scholarship, ideas, and intellectual courage. At 73, Professor Falola stands tall, not merely as a historian, but as an institution, one whose work continues to shape the scholarly conversation on African past, present, and future. His intellectual productivity, generosity of spirit, and global influence have left indelible marks on generations of scholars across continents. The theme of this conference is religion, culture, and politics in Nigeria. The intersection of religion, culture, and politics to our national experience, shaping governance, citizenship, identity, conflicts, and cooperation development. These forces do not operate in isolation, rather they intersect in complex ways that demand rigorous scholarly interrogation. And I believe that today, this guy is going to provide a critical platform for such engagements. Lee City University is particularly proud to host this conference, not only because it aligns perfectly with our institutional vision of academic excellence, innovation, and social response, but also because Professor Toyin Falola is a dynamic and active member of our governing council and an emeritus professor of this university. His association with Lee City University has continued to strengthen our academic identity and global visibility. Professor Falola has consistently projected the image and prestige of Lee City University with uncommon dedication and distinction. Through his insightful writings and thoughtful commentaries, he has presented the university in a positive light, both locally and internationally, and his constructive suggestion and intellectual guidance have significantly contributed to the growth, visibility, and academic standing of Lee City University. That's one of the reasons why the university felt that at least this distinguished professor deserves this conference. Over the years, Professor Falola has organized and supported several high-profile academic engagements for the university, including notable public lectures, such as Professor Olukoya lecture series, organized in honor of Professor Olukoya, one of his friends. This initiative has enriched our intellectual culture and reinforced our reputation as a hub of serious scholarship. In addition, Professor Falola has generously endowed several prestigious prizes at Lee City University, reflecting his deep commitment to nurturing excellence among students. Notably, he endowed the Professor Olukoya Memorial Prize for the best MSc student international relations and political communication, and it was awarded to Badmus Pedat Adeola, an MSc student. His latest endowment in honor of Chino Inje a freedom fighter, provides 2 million naira for the best student in political science. And this endowment stands as an enduring legacy that this will continue to inspire future generations of scholars. Please, a round of applause. It deserves more than that. It deserves a round of applause more than that. Equally important, during the 18th convocation ceremonies of Lee City University, Professor Falola played a most invaluable role. As a respected member of the Governing Council, he recommended the convocation lecturer. There was a day, the Professor Falola, myself, and Chairman of Governing Council were in a place, and I think the Professor Babawale was there, and Professor Falola on his usual, yes, Professor Babawale, you are going to give us the inaugural lecture at Lee City. And we make it, and it was approved. Prof, thank you so much. We appreciate you, sir. In the same spirit of service and foresight, Professor Falola also recommended Alhaji Azan Sumonu, that veteran labor leader, for honorary awards. And also, he was also instrumental to ensure that the Olubadan of Ibadan attended the honorary award in person, because Professor Falola called the Olubadan, and we had a joint discussion on phone. And to the glory of God, the Olubadan was in attendance, and it was an historic event. Prof, thank you so much for this. As a member of Governing Council, his present and active participation at meetings of Council have consistently brought depth, color, and intellectual vibrance to our deliberations. Beyond formal engagement, Professor Falola has also reached out personally to me and to other management of the university, offering wise counsel and practical advice on how best to move the university forward. And such gestures speak eloquently of his deep commitment to the progress and sustainability of Lee City University. So as a result of this, the University Council and management felt that, yes, this particular person deserves this. That is one of the reasons why we're here. I must commend the conference chairman, Dr. Samson Jaola, the conference organizing committee, and the subcommittee for their dedication, intellectual rigor, and professionalism in putting together a program of remarkable depth and diversity. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, this conference is not merely about reflection. It's about reimagining possibilities, how scholarship can inform policy, how culture can foster unity, and how religion can serve as a force for ethnical governance. And anytime you see Professor Falola, he is an embodiment of culture. Yes, please, let's appreciate him. Let's appreciate him. Let's appreciate him. On behalf of the entire Lee University community, we express our profound gratitude and appreciation to you, Sir Prof, for your selfless service, support, and enduring commitment to excellence. Our earnest prayer is that God Almighty grant you sound health, long life, renewed strength, and greater prosperity, so that you may continue to enjoy the fruits of your labor and remain a guiding light to this university and the global academic community. It is my honor and privilege to formally declare the Toyin Falola 73 Conference on Religion, Culture, and Politics in Nigeria open. And I wish all of us a successful conference. And 73, please, everybody, let's stand up. We want to give him 73 IT chairs. So 73 IT chairs. I will start from 70. Everybody shares. 70, 71, 72, 73. Yes, that is 73 IT chairs to our Ojogbon Agba, Professor Toyin Falola, as fondly called by his good friend of over 40 years, Professor Jide Owoeye. Congratulations, sir. Congratulations.
Please, let's put our hands together for Lee City University Vice-Chancellor. One more time, can we appreciate the Vice-Chancellor, Professor Kabiru Adeyemo. Thank you very much, sir. While the University Vice-Chancellor was delivering his welcome speech, the University Chancellor walks in. Ladies and gentlemen, please, let's put our hands together and appreciate Professor G.B. Ogumola. Thank you very much, Daddy. We appreciate you a lot. Thank you so much. I'd like to recognize the Deputy Registrar, Exams and Record, Dr. Temitope Aladekomo. Thank you very much, sir. Also like to recognize the Deputy Registrar, Academic Planning, Dr. Adewole. Thank you very much, sir. The Deputy Registrar, Quality Control, Dr. Soji Adeogun, thank you very much. Deputy Registrar, Senate Affairs, Mr. Fatoki, thank you very much, sir. We appreciate you also. The Dean, Faculty of Law, Associate Professor Simeon Olaoni, thank you very much for coming. We appreciate you. The Head of Department of Information, Office and Information Management, Dr. Sophia Adeyeye, thank you very much. The Head of Department of Information Management, Dr. Olukoya, thank you very much for coming. We appreciate you. The Head of Marketing, Mrs. Deborah Adejobi, thank you so much for coming. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it is 73rd birthday of Professor Toyin Falola, and at the same time, it's a conference opening ceremony. Ladies and gentlemen, our keynote is around. Please make welcome our beautiful keynote, Professor Olukoya Ogen. Please let's put our hands together for Professor Olukoya Ogen. Where's Prof, please? Would like Prof to see you, please. Thank you very much, Prof. We appreciate you. We'll take a pause at this point in time. I'll be right back after this, just for the jubilation ambassadors to give us a sort of return. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. Okay. Sure. Okay, while the ambassadors are getting ready, I'd like to seize this opportunity to invite the University Chancellor to the high table. Please make welcome Professor J.B. Ogumola to the high table. Thank you very much, Daddy.
Yes.
Lílọ bíbọ̀ ẹ̀dá láyé ọwọ́ ẹ̀ ló wà o. Pẹ̀sọ̀ tó yìn Fálọ́lá, Olúwa ti ṣe èyí náà, ọpẹ́ ló yẹ Jésù bàbá wa. Ìwọ ni Ọlọ́run mi kò máa mà sẹ́lú. Ìwọ ni Ọlọ́run mi kò máa mà sẹ́lú. Ìwọ ni Ọlọ́run mi kò máa mà sẹ́lú mìíràn. Gbogbo kékeré kakọ́. Ìwọ ni Ọlọ́run mi kò máa mà sẹ́lú. Ìwọ ni Ọlọ́run mi kò máa mà sẹ́lú. Ìwọ ni Ọlọ́run mi kò máa mà sẹ́lú mìíràn. Olúwa ti ṣe èyí náà, ọpẹ́ ló yẹ Jésù bàbá wa. Ìwọ ni Ọlọ́run mi kò máa mọ̀ sẹ́lú. Ìwọ ni Ọlọ́run mi kò máa mọ̀ sẹ́lú. Ìwọ ni Ọlọ́run mi kò máa mọ̀ sẹ́lú. Ìran bóyá pé mi débẹ̀.
Ìwọ ni Ọlọ́run mi kò bàbá sẹ́lú. Ìwọ ni Ọlọ́run mi kò bàbá sẹ́lú. Ìwọ ni Ọlọ́run mi kò bàbá sẹ́lú. Ìran.
Ìgbàgbọ́ ìrètí ìlérí tí kò ní pẹ́. Ìgbàgbọ́ ìrètí ìlérí tí kò ní pẹ́. Ìlérí tó tètè já sáyọ̀ Ọlọ́run lè ní fẹ́. Ìgbàgbọ́ mo fi dìrọ̀ mọ́ bàbá gbọ́ ìrèké mo lọ.
Ìgbàgbọ́ ìrètí ìlérí tí kò ní pẹ́. Ìlérí tó tètè já sáyọ̀ Ọlọ́run lè ní fẹ́. Ìgbàgbọ́ ìdírọ̀ mọ́ bàbá gbọ́ tètè
A nítorí Toyin Falola. Babaláyé tí ó máa ròde. Olúwa ti ṣèbínú. Toyin Falola. Mo wà níbínú. Pé mo bá ẹ lágbà mo pè é lórúkọ. Orúkọ la fi Babaládé. Orúkọ la fi pé lóye lóye. Gbogbo ẹ̀ tó bá ti ṣoríire láyé. Orúkọ náà pẹ̀lú wọn. Ìgbàgbọ́ ìrètí ìlérí tí kò ní pẹ́. Ìlérí tó tètè já sáyọ̀ Ọlọ́run lè ní pẹ́. Ìgbàgbọ́ mi ìrọ̀mọ́ bàbá gbọ́ mi lè
ìlérí tí kò ní pẹ́. Ìlérí tó tètè já sáyọ̀ Ọlọ́run lè ní pẹ́. Ìgbàgbọ́ mi ìrọ̀mọ́ bàbá gbọ́ tètè.
Ọ̀rọ̀ àánú gbà nínú ìrìn àjò ayé mi. Ọ̀rọ̀ àánú gbà nínú ìrìn àjò ayé mi. Ìgbà táyé rò wípé ọ̀nà àbáyọ kò sí mọ́. Ìgbà táyé rò wípé àṣírí mi máa ti tù. Ìgbà táyé rò wípé ilẹ̀kùn tó ti kò ní ṣí mọ́. Lára ní Jésù dìde sọ̀rọ̀ mi kí mo wí.
Ìlérí tí kò ní pẹ́. Ìlérí tó tètè já sáyọ̀ Ọlọ́run lè ní pẹ́. Ìgbàgbọ́ ti ìrọ̀mọ́
Ìgbà táyé rò wípé àṣírí mi máa ti tú. Ìgbà táyé rò wípé ọ̀nà àbáyọ kò sí mọ́. Ìgbà táyé rò wípé ilẹ̀kùn ó sì kò ní ṣí mọ́. Ìgbà yẹn ní Jèhófà dìde sọ̀rọ̀ mi gbogbo ní ìlànà. Lílọ bìbọ̀ ẹ̀ látáyé ọwọ́ ẹ̀ ló wà o. jíjẹ mímu gbogbo ènìyàn bàbá ló gbé sọ́kò. Láti ìlú a fi ìbọn bá rere ló mú wa pègede. Ọ̀rọ̀ ta ṣe dédé àmàdá ẹ̀gbọ́n ìbàdàn ìlèkè àmọ́ ọlọ́run ti lè ìjìnlẹ̀ ní tìjì. Ẹ ṣe òkú ìjìnlẹ̀ ní ìjìnlẹ̀. Ẹ ṣe òkú ìjìnlẹ̀ ní ìjìnlẹ̀. Ẹ ṣe òkú àná rẹ̀ sọ̀rọ̀. Ẹ ṣe òkú àbòmí rẹ̀ sọ̀rọ̀. Ẹ ṣe òkú ọ̀la rẹ̀ á sọ̀rọ̀ jùlọ. Ẹ ṣe òkú ìjìnlẹ̀ ní ìjìnlẹ̀. Ẹ ṣe òkú ìjìnlẹ̀ ní ìjìnlẹ̀. Ìjìnlẹ̀ ní ìjìnlẹ̀. Ẹ ṣe òkú ìjìnlẹ̀ ní ìjìnlẹ̀. Ẹ ṣe òkú ìjìnlẹ̀ ní ìjìnlẹ̀. Ẹ ṣe òkú.
Thank you very much, the ambassador, for that wonderful interlude that was needed at this point in time. Hello. I'd like to please continue with my recognition as I recognize the Dean Faculty of Education, Professor Donald Odele. Thank you, sir, for coming. We appreciate you. The Dean Faculty of Communication and Information Science, Professor L.A. Abioye. Thank you for coming. The Dean Faculty of Natural and Applied Science, Professor McDonald Igodaru. Thank you so much for coming. The Provost Cathedral of St. James the Great, Okebola Venerable Olaleye, is also in our midst. Thank you, Daddy, for coming. We appreciate you. Please, let's put our hands together for Venerable Olaleye. Thank you very much. Also, the former ACG, retired but not tired, of the NDLA, Mrs. Ibiba Odili, is also around. Thank you very much, ma'am, for coming. We appreciate you. The friend of Professor Toyin Falola, former diplomat and former professor of Chrisland University, Professor Femi Badejo, and the wife is also around. Thank you very much, sir. We appreciate you. The head of Department of Nutrition and Dietetics, Dr. Nike Balogun, thank you for coming. The head of Department of Nursing Science, Mrs. Kemi Akinpelu. The head of Department of Art and Social Sciences, Dr. Oluyomi Piton. Thank you so much for coming as well. Professor Babatunde Adebo, head of Department of Geology and Physics. Thank you so much for coming. Okay, enough with the plenty recognition. I'll come back and continue after now. Let's see what the Lead City University Theatre Group have for us. Please put your hands together for Lead City University Theatre Troupe. Thank you very much. Please, let's put our together for Lead City University Theatre Troupe. Thank you so very much. Okay, the former Vice-Chancellor of Glorious Vision University, Edo State, Professor Mrs. Babatunde Ido is in our midst. Let's put our hands together for him. Thank you very much. Okay, at this point in time, I'd like to call on the orator to please step forward and read the citation of our keynote speaker. Please make welcome Dr. Kilian Olabisi. Please put your hands together for Dr. Kilian.
Thank you. The Chancellor, sir, the real fathers of the day, congratulations to you, celebrant Professor, sir. The Vice-Chancellor, Lead City University, the Vice-Chancellor, Ajayi Crowther University, the DVC, Professor Omolara Campbell, dignitaries in the House, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, men of the press. I have a simple assignment to perform, and that's to present the citation of our dignified professor today. May I respectfully request, sir, Professor Olukoya, Ogen, to remain standing. Thank you, sir. Olukoya Ogen obtained his PhD degree in history from the University of Lagos, as well as a certificate in trade, growth, and poverty alleviation from the World Bank Institute, Washington, D.C. in 2006. He specializes in sociocultural and economic history of Nigeria. Prior to joining Osun State University in 2009, he had stints at the University of Lagos between 2000 and 2001. Adekunle Adjacent University, 2001 to 2006. And Obafemi Awolowo University, 2006 to 2009. A dignified academia today is a guest researcher at Coral Bay College, University of Sierra Leone in 2011. An HP scholar in residence at the University of Ibadan in 2012, and an ICTU professorial fellow at the University of Abuja in 2021. His research profile spanned across the globe. He has won several competitive international research and travel grants to his credit, including Leventy Scholar at SOAS, University London in 2008, a British Academic Visiting Fellow at DASA, University of Birmingham in 2009, an HP Postdoctoral Fellow in 2011, a visiting full research professor at the Southern University, Louisiana in 2017, and a Lucas Larry Visiting Fellow at the University of Leeds in 2022. He is currently a visiting senior research fellow at the Department of African Studies and Anthropology of Birmingham. Professor Ogen doubles as an endowed professor of education at ICT University, Yaoundé, and has served twice as host and research collaborator under the Carnegie African Diaspora Visiting Fellowship Scheme. In 2023, he was appointed as a research counselor by the Wheeler Institute, London Business School, University of London. He currently serves as the European Commission Tenders and Grants Application Database as registered expert. Professor Ogen is a member of the Association of Commonwealth Universities Grants and Fellowship Selection Committee. Some of the major international funding support that had been instrumental to Ogen's research trajectory and scholarship are 16 postdoctoral visiting fellowships and research grants, and 34 international travel grants. European Research Council grant, Everyday Religious Encounter in Yoruba Land. UNESCO IFCD grant on the diversity of cultural expressions. European Commission, Afrique-Europe Erasmus Research grants, to mention a few. His publication and postdoctoral supervision. Professor Ogen has well over 100 international and national acclaimed publications. He has successfully supervised and graduated many students, including 2 PhD students at the Oxford Center for Mission Study, Middlesex University, and ICT University, Yaoundé, respectively. His administrative and professional career. Our dignified professor served as the pioneer dean of the Faculty of Humanities, Osun State University in 2012, and was later appointed by the federal government as provost of Adeyemo College of Education, Ondo, in 2014. From 2017 to 2020, he was a federal government representative on the Governing Council of Federal Polytechnic, Ilaro. Likewise, he is currently a member of the Board of Trustees of St. Mary's University, Supare Akoko. Professor Ogen has served in many capacities. He has served as a member of the TED Fund National Research Fund Monitoring and Evaluation Committee from 2017 to 2023. Currently, he's the Director of Research and Innovation Management at Osun State University. He was inducted as a Fellow of the History Society of Nigeria in 2021. Fellow of the Nigerian Academy of Letters in 2024, and Fellow of the Royal Historical Society of the United Kingdom in 2025. Major honors and recognitions. He is the recipient of 2 International Lifetime Achievement Awards, including a Lifetime Achievement Award of the adoption of ICT in higher education by ICTD, Southern University, AM Baton Rouge, Louisiana, 2017. Significantly, shortly after winning the award of the best provost in Nigeria in 2017. He received an official letter of commendation from the 8th Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria for accountability and integrity in leadership. He was appointed Honorary Mayor of the city of Baton Rouge, Louisiana in 2018. And in 2019, he was awarded the Ali Mazrui Prize of Excellence in Scholarship and Academic Leadership by the board of TOFAC. He won the Uni Osun Gold Award of Research Excellence, as well as the Distinguished Uni Osun Ambassador Award for international recognition in 2023 and 2025, respectively. For his educational philanthropism, he received the Ondo State University of Medical Sciences Platinum Benefactor and a Superhero Award in 2018. He was also honored by the Ondo State government with an award of excellence for educational philanthropy in 2019. Distinguished House, it is my honor and pleasure. Kindly welcome with me Professor Olukoya Ogen, our keynote speaker for today.
Celebrant of today and his lovely wife, Vice-Chancellor, Leeds City University, Vice-Chancellor, Ajayi Crowther University, Chancellor, Leeds City University, you are recognized. My teachers in the house, distinguished colleagues, it's a great delight to be here this afternoon to join you in celebrating our father, our mentor, our brother, and our uncle, Professor Toyin Falola. My task is very, very simple. Simple in the sense that what I call a keynote is just a synthesis of the work that Professor Falola has done over the years. Thanks to Gemini Generative AI, I was trying to look at the experts when it comes to politics, culture, and religion in Nigeria. And each time I check, the name that will pop out will be that of Toyin Falola. So all I needed to do to capture the very essence of this keynote will be to synthesize what he has done. And that saved me a lot of headache. I will be very brief because I know that time is not on our side. I started off, sorry. I titled the keynote, Religion, Politics, and Culture in Nigeria, the Triple Helix and the Intellectual Legacy of Toyin Falola. And I started by saying that it is both a delight and a great honor to stand before this distinguished gathering to deliver the keynote address at the Falola at 73 conference, specially convened to celebrate the 73rd birthday of one of Africa's most prolific and brainy intellectuals, Professor Toyin Falola. We gather not merely to mark the passage of years, to honor a life devoted to ideas, to teaching and to research, to advocacy and policy formulation, and to the ceaseless interrogation of Africa's past and present. I cannot but commend Leeds City University for its avowed commitment to the pursuit of intellectualism in all its ramifications, and most significantly for putting this great event together. The local organizing committee of the Falola at 73 conference also deserves our commendation. Drawing from the intellectual depth of Toyin Falola and Nigeria's current socio-political realities, I wish to start off with a popular story about a house with 3 doors. Though historians are fond of telling stories because that is their trademark, yet I must duly acknowledge Google Gemini 3 generative AI for drawing my attention to this story. The story is about a Nigerian house with only 3 doors. One door is carved with the ancient motif of our ancestors, and it is named the door of culture. The second door is adorned with the symbols of our faith, and it is called the door of our religion. The third door is a highly decorated, modern, steel-plated door that bears the seal of the state, and it is called the door of our politics. For too long, we have tried to live in this house by locking the 2 first doors in order to enter the third. We walk into the political arena and pretend that our culture is primitive. We walk into our places of worship and pretend that politics is secular and distant. But the truth, as Professor Toyin Falola has masterfully argued, is that Nigerians do not live in segments. We are hybrid beings. We are spiritual, we are cultural, and we are political, all. May I remind our distinguished audience and participants that we are gathered here because the steel door That is the door of our politics, is jamming. It is jamming because it was built without considering the foundation of the doors of religion and culture. We need to stop seeing our culture as something that should only be celebrated during our annual cultural festivals. Culture is our social heritage package. The Yoruba ancestral ethos of Omoluabi has been discovered to be a more powerful regulator of behavior than a police baton. Thus, the first question to ask our participants is, how do we domesticate our constitution so it speaks the language of our ethics, not just the language of colonial law? As far as this religious door is concerned, religion has been serving as our metaphysical oxygen. It can bond us together in times of grief, but it has also been used as a weapon of mass destruction by an elite class that seeks to divide us. We must therefore move from politics of religion, where we fight over who holds the Bible or the Quran, to a religiousness of politics, where the values of compassion, honesty, and stewardship, common to all faith, become the guiding philosophies and principles of our leaders. Toyin Falola challenges us to embrace proversalism. This means that instead of choosing between either modernity or tradition, we should simply choose modernity and tradition. This suggests the adoption of an education system where our students are taught coding and the philosophy of FIFA. It means a healthcare system where we use vaccines and our indigenous pharmacology. It means a political system that recognizes our local government executives and our traditional rulers as partners in a single civic terrain. As we begin the seasons of this lecture, of this conference, I charge all participants to be conscious of the fact that our ancestors are watching, our teeming youth are waiting, and the world is curious. Let us show them that when religion, culture, and politics harmonize, the song produced is called justice, peace, and development. So the next segment of the lecture, which I say the thematic preferment of the Falola at 73 conference. The theme of this conference, religion, politics, and culture, occupies a pivotal position in the social, cultural, and political history of Nigeria, and indeed in the broader study of African societies. These domains are not merely analytical categories. They are lived-in realities that have shaped authority, identity, resistance, and belonging across centuries. Few scholars have done more to illuminate these interconnections than Professor Toyin Falola. At 73, he stands out not only as one of the most prolific historians of Africa, but also as a defining architect of contemporary African studies. Falola's scholarship insists on historical depth, cultural sensitivity, and analytical courage. He rejects the temptation to explain Nigeria through reductive narratives, whether colonial determinism, ethnic existentialism, or institutional failure, and instead foregrounds long-term historical processes in which religion, culture, and politics are inseparably intertwined. My keynote engages this conference team by examining this historical entanglement, while also situating Falola himself as a central intellectual figure whose mentors have reshaped African scholarship. I argue most vehemently that Nigeria's political dilemmas cannot be understood without sustained attention to the moral and cultural orders that have historically structured power. In making this argument, I cannot but also reflect on Falola's enduring intellectual legacy, his insistence on African agency, his methodological pluralism, and his extraordinary commitment to mentoring scholars and building platforms for African knowledge production. Falola teaches us that Nigeria crises are not simply failures of governance, but reflections of unresolved historical negotiations between competing moral and cultural orders. The challenge before scholars and policymakers alike is not to erase these differences, but to understand and manage them with historical sensitivity. The theme of the conference is therefore not incidental to Professor Falola's career. It is the very core. His scholarship equips us to understand contemporary tensions over secularism, Sharia, Pentecostal power, ethnic mobilization, and national identity as historically grounded phenomena. Thus, as the foundational paper of the Falola at 73 Conference on Religion, Culture, and Politics in Nigeria, this keynote is primarily meant to serve as an anchor that will set the intellectual tone and provide the macro perspective of the theme of this conference. Given the huge intellectual status of the personality in whose honor this academic gathering is organized, I intend to kickstart and frame the conversation by establishing a common theoretical vocabulary and set of ideas so that the ensuing robust conversation can be viewed through a unified lens. My adopted lens of this keynote is what I have elegantly tagged the Toyin Falola triple helix lens on religion, culture, and politics in Nigeria. Hence, This address is not only aimed at inspiring and igniting our passion, it is also meant to ultimately challenge us to rethink some of the things we already know. It is a call to action. With the foregoing, therefore, the next section of this keynote briefly attempt to situate this lecture within the theoretical and conceptual canvas of the triple helix model on religion, culture, and politics. In much of Western political thought, religion, politics, and culture are treated as analytically separable domains. Politics is imagined as the realm of the state and formal institution, religion as private belief, and culture as a residual category encompassing norms, values, and expressive practices. As Falola work repeatedly demonstrate, these domains have historically overlapped, interacted, and co-produced social order. Religion in Nigeria has functioned as a source of moral authority and political legitimacy. Culture has provided its public language through which power is expressed, contested, and remembered. Politics has extended beyond the state to include struggles over meaning, identity, and moral order. Falola's historiography thus aligns with a broader Africanist tradition that views power as embedded in social relations rather than confined to formal institutions. This framework is particularly important for understanding Nigeria, where the modern state has often struggled to monopolize authority. Religious institutions, traditional rulers, and cultural associations have persistently shaped political outcomes. Rather than treating these forces as obstacles to modern governance, Falola invites us to see them as historically grounded realities that demand contextual understanding. The triple helix model on religion, culture, and politics in Nigeria is an analytical framework that underscores the dynamic and fundamental variables of these themes in order to understand their overarching impact on Nigeria's socioeconomic and political challenges. This approach is an adoption of the original triple helix model, which focused primarily on university, industry, and government interaction for innovation. Our revised model views religion, culture, and politics as interdependent actors and analyzes how each of these three variables influences and is influenced by the others, thereby moving beyond viewing them as separate entities. The modified triple helix lens can equally be used to study both the synergies and the conflicts that arise from this interaction. The adopted model further emphasizes that these factors operate within a specific Nigerian context, where historical, economic, and social conditions shape how religion, culture, and politics interact. Its adoption for the purpose of this conference underscores the policy implications of the theme of this academic event. The rationale is that by understanding these complex dynamics, policymakers and researchers can better identify how to promote effective governance, manage diversity, and find sustainable solutions to social and economic problems rather than applying generalized models that ignore local realities. In essence, the triple helix lens on religion, culture, and politics in Nigeria provides a way to explore the complex non-linear relationships that drive social change. The next aspect we have to deal with is historicizing the triple helix on religion, culture, and politics. And here, the first thing that we'll touch will be on the sacred authority and cultural governance. Pre-colonial Nigerian societies offer striking illustrations of the integration of religion, culture, and politics. Authority was rarely secular in the modern sense. Political legitimacy derived from cosmology, ritual performance, and moral conduct. Among the Yoruba, kingship was profoundly ritualized. The Oba was not simply a ruler, but a ritual pipe whose well-being symbolized the health of the polity. Governance depended on the maintenance of a cosmic balance through ritual observance, consultation with priests, and adherence to cultural norms. And here I rely on the works of Pew 2000. Political failure was often interpreted as moral and spiritual failure. In northern Nigeria, Islam had become deeply embedded in political life long before European contact. In Kanem Borno and the Hausa state, Islamic law, scholarship, and clerical authorities structured governance and education. Political legitimacy was closely tied to religious learning and moral rectitude. According to Adeyemo Afigbo, in most parts of eastern Nigeria, political organization was more decentralized, yet no less culturally and religiously grounded. Council of Elders, age grades, and religious specialists regulated authority and mediated conflict. Power was diffused rather than centralized, but it remained embedded in shared moral cosmologies. Interestingly, Falola work challenges older evolutionary narratives that portray the system as primitive or static. Instead, he emphasizes the adaptability, internal debate, and capacity for reform. Pre-colonial political culture provided Nigerians with enduring repertoires for negotiating power, repertoires that will later interact with Islam, Christianity, colonialism, and modern state structures. Islam, Reformation, and morality. The historical role of Islam in Nigeria illustrates the transformative power of religion as a political force. Introduced through the trans-Saharan trade and scholarly networks from the 11th century onward, Islam gradually reshaped social relations and political institutions in northern Nigeria. This process reached a climax in the early 19th century with the 1804 Sokoto Jihad. Led by Usman Dan Fodio, the jihad was both a religious reform movement and a political revolution. It criticized existing rulers for moral corruption and administrative injustice, advocating governance based on Islamic law and ethical leadership. The Sokoto Caliphate that emerged from the jihad reorganized political authority around emir, Islamic courts, and educational institutions. It established a moral economy in which political legitimacy depended on adherence to religious norms. Morelast, Toyin Falola, Paul Lovejoy, and other scholars emphasized that the caliphate was not a theocracy in the simplistic sense, but a complex political formation that integrated governance, scholarship, and social welfare. The legacy of the colonial and post-colonial period. Debates over Sharia, secularism, and northern identity cannot be understood without reference to this historical experience. Falola's work underscores the importance of viewing Islamic politics in Nigeria as historically grounded rather than as a contemporary anomaly. Christianity, Western education, and culture. Christianity entered Nigerian history under different conditions and with distinct implications. Its expansion in southern Nigeria during the 19th century was closely linked to European missionary activity, colonial expansion, and Western education. Mission schools became crucial sites of cultural transformation. They produced a new elite trained in literacy, administration, and global intellectual traditions. This Christian educated class played a central role in the emergence of Nigerian nationalism, constitutional politics, and early post-colonial governance. Christianity reshaped political culture by introducing new ideas about citizenship, progress, and individual achievement. At the same time, indigenous religious system and reconfigured cultural identities. Conversation often entailed the rejection of or reinterpretation of existing moral world, generating tensions within families and communities. Falola's scholarship here highlights the ambivalence of this process. Christianity expanded opportunity and global connectivity. Yet, it also undermined indigenous cultural authority. The political influence of Christianity in contemporary Nigeria, particularly Pentecostalism, must be understood against this historical backdrop of education, morality, and cultural negotiation. Colonial role, religion, and culture. British colonialism fundamentally restructured the relationship between religion, culture, and politics in Nigeria. Through indirect rule, colonial administrators governed northern Nigeria largely through Islamic emirates, while reconstructing or inventing forms of traditional authority in the south. The system entrenched religious and cultural distinctions within the colonial state. Christianity became associated with Western education and access to power, while Islam was preserved as a marker of regional identity, but subordinated to colonial authority. Colonial governance thus transformed religion and culture into politicized administrative categories. Mandani. Falola situates colonialism as a process of reconfiguration rather than total rupture. Colonial rule intensified the existing differences and redefined their political significance. The colonial state manipulation of religious and cultural institutions laid the groundwork for post-colonial identity politics and regional equality. Religion, secularism, and power in post-colonial Nigeria. At independence in 1960, Nigeria adopted a secular constitutional framework, yet religion and culture remained deeply embedded in political life. Political parties, electoral mobilization, and public discourse frequently draw upon religious and ethnic identities. The expansion of Sharia law in several northern states in 1999 illustrates the enduring influence of Islamic authority and the contested nature of secularism in Nigeria. At the same time, Pentecostal Christianity has emerged as a powerful cultural and political force, shaping moral discourse, economic aspiration, and political mobilization. Falola's work encourages us to see this development as historical continuities rather than deviations. The Nigerian state, has never monopolized moral authority. It has always negotiated legitimacy with religious and cultural institutions. Religion, culture, and politics in Nigeria from the lens of Professor Toyin Falola. One of the enduring contributions of Professor Falola's scholarship is the insistence that religion in Nigeria is not a peripheral or residual phenomenon, but a central historical force. Whether examining indigenous belief system, Islam or Christianity, Falola has shown that religion is deeply implicated in questions of power, legitimacy, resistance, and social order. Religion in the Nigerian context has never been confined to the private realm. It has shaped political authority, moral expectations, education, law, and even economic behavior. Falola's work reminds us that to speak of Nigerian politics without religion is to speak in abstractions, and to speak of religion without politics is to ignore history. He analyzes how religion acts as both a binding force for community mobilization and as a tool for exclusionary politics. For Toyin Falola, religion remains a powerful force that dictates overall political behavior. In one of his numerous books titled Violence in Nigeria, the Crisis of Religious Politics and Secular Ideologies, he argues that politicians often use religious symbols to seek divine approval and moral authority, making their leadership appear metaphysically ordained rather than just legally elected. He went further to argue that while religion can promote social welfare and peace, we must also be conversant with the fact that it's also a double-edged sword used by the elite to trigger sectarian and socio-political tensions, effectively distracting from poor governance. He further proceeded that despite Nigeria's constitutional secularism, the state is particularly religious because the citizens' identities are primarily shaped by their individual faith. Thus, Falola proceeds that religion in Nigeria is not merely a set of rituals, but a primary epistemological system, a way of knowing and interpreting reality. He argues that Nigerian citizens interpret social reality through the lenses of their corporate religious belief. Consequently, they expect leaders to be more than just policymakers. They must be embodiments of divine approval and metaphysical competence. In his authoritative work titled Decolonizing African Studies, Falola postulates that African development fails when it uses only Western framework. He advocates for the use of ritual archives, shrines, art, and oral traditions as valid sources of knowledge for solving modern problems. He prioritizes the inherent and transformative values of indigenous knowledge and ancestral education. Culture in Falola's scholarship is neither static tradition nor romantic inheritance. It is dynamic, contested, and historically produced. Cultural practices are shown to adapt, resist, and transform in response to political domination, religious change, and global encounters. By foregrounding culture, Falola challenges narratives that attribute Nigeria's challenges solely to colonialism or modernity. Instead, he invites us to examine how Nigerians themselves have negotiated change, sometimes creatively, sometimes conflictually, through cultural repartitions that long predate the colonial state. He rightly argues that culture is the package of social heritage that justifies almost every action in private and public life. He opines that the indigenous culture like that of the Yoruba have internal philosophies of communalism and gender democracy that were disrupted by colonialism but still influence how people organize today. He also highlights the hybridity of contemporary African identities and the blending of ancient rituals with modern digital aesthetics. He believes Nigeria's strength lies in the ability to be simultaneously local and modern. Toyin Falola's perspective on Nigerian politics is defined by a deep skepticism of the current Western-style democratic model and a call for a radical return to ideology-driven governance and cultural authenticity. At least two of his major works, Violence in Nigeria, the Crisis of Religious Politics and Secular Ideology, Indiana University Press, and The Power of African Culture, published by University of Chester Press, aptly capture his thoughts on Nigerian politics. Falola sees Nigerian politics as a single civic terrain, where modern governmental institutions must coexist with ancient traditional frameworks of governance. He argues that encounters between religion and politics are unavoidable because voters do not choose parties because of manifestos alone, but on whether a candidate reflects their religious and cultural identity. By exploring the prevalence and operations of ethnic unions and militia, he zeroes in on the undercurrent of ethnic nationalism and the quest for a pan-Nigerian identity. For him, ethnic unions have been providing self-help due to state failure. They have also strengthened ethnic divisions, which makes unified national identity difficult to achieve. Falola sees the Nigerian political terrain as very fluid and plural, where no single group can permanently dominate because the system is the end result of a constant high-stake negotiation. He argues that the Nigerian state is often seen by citizens as an alien in position, and to fix this, he believes that governance must be domesticated or realigned with the cultural and religious values that people actually respect and understand. This salient submission leads us to his theory on pluriversalism. This is a model that provides a radical intellectual foundation for the ongoing debate about Nigerian constitutional reform and restructuring. In his view, the current 1999 Constitution is a monological document, one that speaks with a single westernized and military inherited voice that fails to resonate with the lived realities of Nigerians. Interestingly, this approach to constitutional reforms rests on three main pillars. First, Falola argues that Nigeria's current federalism is unitary in disguise because it centralizes power in a way state. He posits that the cultural growth and that instead of just redistributing money between states and the federal government, what is needed is a constitution that recognizes traditional institutions and local knowledge system as formal components of the state. He believes restructuring should be about the restoration of the agency of the ritual archive and indigenous political philosophies within a modern framework. Second, a key part of Falola's theory is the decolonization of the law. He notes that the Nigerian legal system is primarily based on English common law, which often contradicts local concept of justice. He argues that the Constitution should incorporate the Ebunoluwa ethics, which prioritizes character, communal harmony over adversarial winner-takes-all nature of Western law. Third, rather than the current heavy emphasis on fiscal federalism, Falola convincingly argues that restructuring must include the freedom of Nigerian constitutive region to govern themselves using their own cultural logic. For example, the North could integrate Islamic jurisprudence more authentically, while the West could integrate a specific communal democracy. It further suggests that the pluriversal constitution will elevate indigenous languages to official status in governance by arguing that you cannot have a true democracy if the language of the law is a foreign one and the majority of citizens is yet to master. Rather than the clamor for outright secession, he envisions a single civic terrain where multiple ways of being Nigeria can exist side by side without one trying to cancel the other. In his most recent reflection, as late as 2025, Falola has noted that the renewed hope reforms and the pressures of economic suffering have brought Nigeria to a crossroad. He warns that if the constitution is not domesticated through a pluriversal lens, the state will continue to be viewed as an alien predator by the people, leading to perpetual instability. From pre-colonial secret kinship to colonial indirect rule and post-colonial identity politics, Falola has traced how power in Nigeria is negotiated across formal and informal spaces. He has shown that political authority often derives as much from cultural legitimacy and religious symbolism. This insight is particularly vital in understanding contemporary Nigeria, where the state frequently competes with religious and cultural institutions for moral authority. Toyin Falola's work ultimately calls for a domesticated democracy. He believes that for Nigeria to truly thrive, its political structure must reflect the cultural and spiritual DNA of its people, integrating the wisdom of systems like Ifa into the modern constitution. Let's briefly look at his thoughts on Ifa, religious transversality, and political tolerance. Toyin Falola's perspective on Ifa is groundbreaking because he views it not just as a religion, but as a sophisticated epistemological system, a way of knowing and organizing the world that has profound implications for modern political thought. He argued that Ifa, the Yoruba system of divination and philosophy, is a living library and an open archive of knowledge. The 256 Odu Ifa contain collective wisdoms of thousands of years regarding medicine, history, ethics, and conflict resolution. In his view, Ifa offers a model for inclusive governance because the divination system acknowledges multiple perspectives and requires consultation before action. It stands in contrast to the autocratic tendency often seen in modern Nigerian politics. One of Falola's most interesting contributions is the concept of transversality. He notes that in traditional Yoruba households, it is common to find practitioners of Ifa, Christianity, and Islam living under the same roof. He therefore argues that the inherent tolerance found in Ifa, which does not seek to convert or destroy other faiths, could be the blueprint for a more peaceful Nigerian state. His conclusion is that if Nigerian leaders can adopt the Yoruba logic of religious coexistence, rooted in Ifa philosophy, the sectarian violence currently plaguing the country would drastically diminish. Mentorship, institution building, and intellectual generosity. Professor Falola is a world-renowned author, a leading scholar of African studies, who is often referred to as the intellectual bridge between continents. With over 250 publications covering diverse topics from ancient economists to modern African agency, Professor Falola is a giant in African historiography. No wonder he's recognized globally for his vast scholarship and commitment to promotion of African knowledge system. Beyond his prodigious scholarship, Professor Falola's legacy is also human and institutional. He has mentored the generations of scholars across continents, built intellectual networks, edited monumental volumes, and created spaces where African knowledge circulates globally without apology. At 73, Professor Falola stands not as a solitary intellectual, but at the center of a vast scholarly constellation. His influence is visible not only in books and citations, but in people, students, colleagues, and collaborators who carry forward his insistence, productivity, and intellectual courage. Thus, a dedicated discussion of Toyin Falola's legacy must extend beyond his published work to his extraordinary role as a mentor. He has supervised, advised, and informally guided hundreds of students. His approach to mentorship is grounded in the belief that knowledge production is a collective enterprise. He has consistently encouraged younger scholars to publish early, think ambitiously, and engage global debates without abandoning local grounding. This mentorship has profound institutional consequences. Falola students, collaborators occupy positions across university, research institutes, and policy spaces, extending his intellectual influence far beyond his own numerous writings. By way of conclusion, celebrating a living intellectual legend at 73. To end this celebratory keynote, a brief recap of our main argument will still apposite at this juncture. We submit that the historical evolution of Nigeria is deeply shaped by the interaction of religion, culture, and politics, long before the advent of colonial rule. Colonial rule under Britain reconfigured this relationship in decisive ways. Indirect rule institutionalized religious and cultural influences by governing through Islamic Emirates in the north and reconstituted traditional authorities in the north. In the post-colonial era, religion and culture have remained powerful forces in Nigerian politics. Political mobilization often draws upon religious and ethnic identities. Cultural values such as communalism, respect for hierarchy, and kinship obligations continue to influence political behavior. In sum, the historical dynamics of religion, culture, and politics in Nigeria reveal a pattern of deep interconnection rather than separation. These forces have alternatively reinforced and contested one another. I'm in love with the apt conclusion of Professor Olajumoke Jacob Halisu. He attributes to Professor Falola in 2022 during the occasion of the conferment one of the nation's oldest and highest merit honors, member of the Order of the Niger, on Professor Falola by former President Muhammadu Buhari. And I crave your indulgence to re-echo the exact words of Jumoke. Professor Falola is the living embodiment of the loftiest objectives of humanistic studies, a pan-ethnic Nigerian, a true Pan-Africanist, and a global cosmopolitan. Falola is at home in the ghettos of Lagos, as in the presidential palaces in Pretoria and Lusaka. Despite his extremely lofty position in the academy, Falola can be found engaging the street trader, the lowly undergraduate, and the junior professor with the same keen interest, humility, and enthusiasm as he would royalty. Falola's scholarship models historical inquiry, not as antiquarianism, but as a means of understanding contemporary dilemmas and imagining alternative future. His work on religion, politics, and culture in Nigeria exemplifies this approach. By insisting on historical depth and cultural sensitivity, Falola's amazing intellect has fundamentally reshaped how we think about Nigeria, its history, its culture, its religion, and its policy. Across several decades of writing, editing, mentoring, and institution building, he has insisted on one central proposition, that Nigeria cannot be understood through narrow disciplinary silos or imported analytical frameworks. Rather, Nigeria must be read through its own historical experiences, moral economics, and cultural logics. The historical dynamics of religion, politics, and culture in Nigeria reveal a society shaped by long continuities and transformative encounters. Honoring Professor Falola at 73 is therefore also an affirmation of the intellectual tradition, one that insists on rigor, generosity, and historical consciousness. Falola stands as a living archive of Nigerian African history, reminding us that scholarship is not about interpretation, it's not only about interpretation, but about responsibility to people, institutions, and the future generation. At 73, he reminds us that scholarship is a marathon of stamina, like the pre-colonial Ajayi warriors of the older empire. He does not retreat, he expands. He has created a global tribe of scholars, ensuring that when the story of Nigeria is told, it is told by us, for us, and through our own complex lens. I therefore challenge all participants that as we deliberate on the nexus and tensions between the church, the mosque, the shrine, and politics, let us adopt at least 3 of the core principles of Falolaism. These are metal, multidisciplinary lens, and intellectual generosity. We must not shy away from the uncomfortable truths that currently permeate interfaith frictions in Nigeria. Situating our analysis within a multidisciplinary canvas will enable us to properly dissect politics. Ladies and gentlemen, Professor Toyin Falola is in many respects a living intellectual legend as we celebrate him at 73. We also reaffirm the enduring relevance of his central message. We are still going to shout happy birthday 73 times. So if you are not patient, we will start from 1 to 73. So just be patient. Within the next 2 minutes, I'll round up. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, Toyin Falola is in many respects a living intellectual legend as we celebrate him at 73. Professor Falola, we thank you for the questions you have asked, the paths you have opened, and the generations you have inspired. We wish you continued strength, clarity, and creativity in the years ahead. We thank you for the questions you have asked and the paths you have opened and the generation you have inspired. You have been the guardian of our collective memory. We wish you continued strength, clarity, and creativity in the years ahead. May your prodigious intellectual energy, which has defied the laws of physics, continue to ignite the flames of intellectual inquiry across the world. While congratulating this distinguished audience and all conference participants, I'm of the considered opinion that the kernel of our reflections should advance beyond the usual academic discourse or theoretical gyrations on religion, politics, and culture. Our target should be the examination how the key point of our deliberation can be used to build a Nigeria that is as robust, as diverse, and as intellectually resilient as the man we are all gathered here to honor today. Happy 73rd birthday, Professor Olatunbosun Falola. Thank you all.
We can do better than that for Professor Olukoya Ogen. Thank you very much, Professor Olukoya Ogen. That was really, really insightful from an historian. Thank you so much. We appreciate you a lot. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, while Professor Ogen was delivering the keynote address, Late City University first Vice-Chancellor, the pioneer Vice-Chancellor of Late City University, walked into this building. Please make welcome Professor Johnson, Emeritus Professor Johnson Alade Komo. Thank you very much, sir. Also, while that was also going on, the University Registrar walked into the building. Please celebrate Dr. Mrs Oyebola Ayeni. Thank you very much. The Dean Faculty of Arts, the first Dean of Faculty of Arts in Lake City University, the convener of Omoge Asha, Professor Angela Robin. Welcome, ma. Thank you very much. Okay, We'll go to the Jubilation Ambassador one more time.
Alayo, alayo, alayo ti alayo de. 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 Kábíyèsí ẹgbẹ́ ìkàlẹ̀. Mo wá rí fọ́ba nígbà ìpè jẹ́ ẹ̀sìn ọba kòótò tó pẹ́. Kírù kẹ̀lẹ̀ kékeré kékeré kókó ẹ̀mí abẹ́rẹ́. Kábíyèsí mo ṣí fìlà kò rí adé. Mo wá sọ pé adé ọba, adé ọba, ìrùkẹ̀rẹ̀ ọba, ìrùkẹ̀rẹ̀ ọba. Bàtà ọba tọba ní ṣe òun, àìdórí adéjà kò tún pè ní ìmòwú. Adé ọba, adé ọba, bàtà ọba, bàtà ọba, ìrùkẹ̀rẹ̀ ọba tọba ní ṣe òun, àìdórí adéjà kò tún pè ní ìmòwú. Adé ọba, adé ọba, bàtà ọba, bàtà ọba, ìrùkẹ̀rẹ̀ ọba tọba ní ìṣòro, àìgbọ́dí adéjà, òtúbè ní ọ̀rẹ́. Óyá, ìrà, balódàbí. Ọba tí kì í sọ̀rọ̀, ọba tí kì í rẹ̀, àlọ́dà bí ìjẹ́bọ̀. Àgbàgbà wọ́n ní ìṣẹ̀lẹ̀. ọba tí kì í rẹ̀ àti ìrẹ̀wì alágbára.
Thank you very much to the ambassadors. Please, I'd like us to please settle down as we continue quickly. Because of time, I would have released the ambassador more time to sing for us. But because of our time, we need to take everything very fast at this point in time. Please make welcome Dr. Esther Ijaola for a poem. Thank you very much. Please, let's put our hands together for Dr. Esther Ijaola for our poem as she's coming forward at this point in time. Is Dr. Esther around? Is Dr. Esther Ijaola around? I guess we'll move to the next thing. Since Dr. Esther Ijaola is not around, so we'll move to the next thing, which is LCU Theatre Group. Please make welcome the Lead City University Theatre Troupe one more time as they come for their second performance this beautiful evening. Please put your hands together for Lead City University Theatre Troupe. Please, let's put our hands together for Lead TT Theatre Troupe. Thank you so very much. Earlier on, I called Mrs. Dr. Esther Ijaola for our poem. Please, let's make welcome Dr. Esther Ijaola for our poem as she comes forward. Please, let's put our hands together for her.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests. Kabiyesi. Yes, sir. My name is Yemi Jaola, and I would like to read a poem in honor of Professor Toyin Falola. So, Toyin Falola at 73. Did you say 73? Or you mean 7 and 3, which is 10? Definitely not a decade, but 7 years shy. This earthenware, forged by Olodumare, the greatest potter, graced the hinterlands of Ibadan on Osogbo. Osogbo, the day of new beginnings in the Falola lineage. Alamisi, heralding the graceful entrance of this Olorun's gifts to the world. Olorun Toyin indeed. Omo Agbosha Shamasha has clocked another milestone. His fame roars through the northern hemisphere like the kakaki. The southern poles jubilate at the sound of his name. The world gyrates restlessly at the sight of his works, and his footprints remain engraved in the sands of time. The son of Paito is a year older, the warrior who lived war and still brings the spoils home years after. He's here again in Ibadan, where it all began. A true son of the soil, Omoluabi, Omoyenene. Permit me to call him by name, Ishola. Have you seen my father, Ishola? He's the one with a large heart and depths unimaginable. The crown of gray, though balding but never winning. The palette of wisdom laced with ivory teeth. Teeth sharpened by years of cracking hard nuts and sharing the oil with kindred. Teeth that readily devours offerings of game, Oya, Ewuju, and even the one credited to conversing with Eve in Eden. Ishola, the jewel of BC's eyes, the nightingale in Florence's garden, the sire of Dolly, Sisto, and Bisola, the elegant gramps of his progeny. Ishola, the one who graced the world with wealth tucked in his loins. Ishola says he's not wealthy. Pray, tell. Is his wealth of knowledge a joke? His skills of writing a mere pass? His depth of studies, library of literature, social capital of friends and network, sky miles for loved ones and humanity, concern and thoughtful gestures to all and sundry. Can all the money in World Bank buy this? Definitely, Ishola excuse the meaning of Enionia Shomi. And that is the most valuable currency and bank of wealth. Ishola, the man of many letters, with a mouth sweeter than salt, eyes of the eagle, mind restless with thoughts and concept notes in waiting for the publisher's ink. He bows his head in meditation and nods in acknowledgement as I recite this. But his thoughts, like still waters, are running deep and crafting a new project. His mind never sleeps, even in the midst of pomp and pageantry. That's the man we celebrate today. Yoruba bo, wọ́n ní pé bí ó ti wu Ọlọ́run ní ṣọlá rẹ̀. Nítorí náà ni Ọlọ́run fi fún wa ní ẹ̀bùn ọmọ ẹ̀, Ìṣọ̀lá. Àwa yin Ọlọ́run torí Ọlọ́run Tóyìn, indeed. Happy birthday, sir.
Thank you so very much. I didn't know this cardiologist can write for. I'm so surprised. I'm so happy. Thank you so very much.
Please, let's put our hands together for a cardiologist turned poet, please. Let's put our hands together for her. Thank you very much. Please, if you are the owner of a Toyota Corolla Gold, FST 74FC. Please, your attention is needed outside to repark. One more time, Toyota Corolla Gold, FST 74FC. Your car needs to be reparked outside. Thank you very much for your usual cooperation. I'd like to recognize right here the Professor of Financial Accounting, Professor Godwin Oyedokun. Thank you very much, sir, for coming. We appreciate you. Also, right here is the Dean, Faculty of Arts, Emmanuel Alayande University, Professor Akin Alao. Thank you very much, Prof, for being around. The founder of Amen Houston and Fertility Medical Center, Oluyole Estate, Princess Sheyi Oyewale. We also recognize your presence. Thank you so very much as well. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, moving very, very fast at this point, as I invite one of our very own lecturer par excellence in the Department of Languages and Literature, Lead TT University, for our spoken word. Please put your hands together for Miss Toluwalashe Agweru for our spoken word.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, celebrants, Kabiru. My name is Agweru Toluwalashe, and I'm presenting a spoken word. What we call sacred. In Nigeria, we do not begin anything without invoking something sacred. Meetings, budgets, campaigns. We say in the name of God, as if naming God automatically cleanses intention. Religion here is not marginal. It is not private. It is not quiet. It organizes time, shapes language, and gives meaning when reality becomes unbearable. For many people, faith is not ideology. It is survival. And culture. Culture names us before we know ourselves. It tells us who we are allowed to question, and who must never be questioned. It teaches respect, but it also teaches silence. We are raised to believe that endurance is wisdom, that patience is virtue, that suffering somehow builds character. Emma Binu, be patient. That is how it has always been. Then there's politics. Not politics as civic duty, but politics as consequence, as policy that never reaches the people, as power that remembers us only when it needs legitimacy. In Nigeria, religion and culture are not outside politics. They are off its language. Power learns how to quote scripture, how to wear tradition, how to sound moral. And so when things fail, we are told to pray harder, to fast longer, to wait. Because God knows best. Because this is our culture. Because politics is dirty. But who decided that faith must replace accountability? Who taught us that silence is dignity when injustice is the cause? This is not an attack on belief. It is a question about its deployment, because when religion is used to explain away suffering instead of confronting its causes, faith loses its moral edge. When culture is invoked only when it benefits power, to silence women, to diminish young people, to protect elders from scrutiny, then culture stops being heritage and becomes control. And when politics learns to hide behind altars and ancestral authority, it becomes difficult to question without being labeled disrespectful or rebellious or ungodly. It is such a society. Power is rarely loud. It is polite. It wears agbada. It quotes scripture. It calls itself tradition. We have learned to spiritualize structural failure, to moralize poverty, to call survival a blessing instead of asking why survival is necessary. Yet religion at its best should trouble injustice. Culture at its best should protect dignity. Politics at its best should organize the common good. When these three lose courage, society does not collapse dramatically. It erodes respectfully, with protocols, with opening prayers. So perhaps the question is not whether Nigeria is religious enough, or cultural enough, or politically active enough. Perhaps the question is simpler and more uncomfortable. Who benefits from the way religion is preached, the way culture is preserved, and politics is practiced? Because a society that prays loudly but tolerates injustice quietly must eventually confront the silence it has mistaken for peace. Until faith regains its courage, culture its conscience, and politics its humanity, we will keep calling things sacred while living with consequences that are anything but. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Tolualashe Aguero. Okay, more recognitions at this point in time. From Adekunle Ajasin University, Akungba, I'd like to recognize Professor Eyuali and Professor Benson Egboyin. Thank you very much for coming. From Olabisi Onabanjo University, I'd like to recognize Professor Kehinde Obashola. From Babcock University, I'd like to recognize Professor Mobolanle Shotunsa. More recognitions will still come in. If I didn't do this one, I might be beaten a little bit. I like to recognize, should I call them relationships? I love calling them relationships. But I like to recognize Lititi University Ceremonies Committee. I wish I can take all the names one after the other. There are always delights to watch. Please celebrate them one more time. I see Dr. Latoye, I see Dr. Sophia Adeyemo, I see Mrs. Adejobi, I see Mrs. One. Who else am I missing? I see Dr. Anyanto Rokodri, I see Professor Oyedokun, I see Associate Professor Simeon Olaone, I see Mrs. Afolarami, I see Mr. Victor Afolarami. I hope I've not missed anybody. One, it didn't DPG school, ma. Professor Igodaru and Dr. Adeyemo, of course. We return back to the ambassador at this point in time. Professor Amadu, we recognize your presence. Thank you very much. After this, the ambassadors.
Yet. Yet. Yes. 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 Yes.
Ah. Ah. Jésù nìkan lórísun ayọ̀ mi, bàbá o ṣé o. Jésù nìkan lórísun ayọ̀ mi, bàbá o ṣé o. Jésù nìkan lórísun ayọ̀ mi o, bàbá o ṣé o. Ah. Orí Toyin Falola, babaláyé tí mo parọ́ òbí. Dádì, ẹ gbọ́ kẹ́ẹ̀tọ́, ẹ fọwọ́ páwú kẹ́ẹ̀pẹ̀ ìdòdì. Gbogbo ibi tó ti ń rówó náà, àgbàná má ṣe ti bẹ̀rù láéláé. Lóyìn, Ọlọ́run kò àgbáyé o, kò ṣàgbáyé lápàdé fún wa. Ọlọ́run kò ṣàgbáyé o, Ọlọ́run kò ṣàgbáyé lápàdé fún wa. Ọlọ́run máa bàgbà jẹ́ o. Ọlọ́run kò ṣàgbáyé, Ọlọ́run kò ṣàgbáyé torí àní torí prof bóyá ẹ jẹ́ kí n máa sọ pé prof Toyin elégédé ń jayé orí ẹ̀ nínú oko. Elégédé ń jayé orí ẹ̀ nínú oko. Ó gbalẹ̀ lọ rẹpẹtẹ. Iná ìrókò rẹ̀ ọ̀bà ìgbín inú kòkó. Toyin Falola, ẹgbẹ́ láyé ẹ̀pọ̀ láàárọ̀. Ọkọ̀ yèyé. Elégédé ń jayé orí ẹ̀ nínú oko. Elégédé ń jayé orí ẹ̀ nínú oko. Ilá ìrókò rẹ̀ ọ̀. Ọlọ́dẹ mi máa wò bẹ́ẹ̀. Ìṣọ̀lá mi máa wò bẹ́ẹ̀. Ìṣọ̀lá mi máa mi kàn. We're at 73. Lọ́pẹ́ Olúwa ti ṣe ìdíná ọpẹ́ ló yẹ Jésù bàbá wa. Oyin, àpáta ńlá ni ẹ́. Falola, àpáta ńlá ni ẹ́. Ewé tí òkun. Ewé tí òkun. Samson ní ìjà ọlá babaláyé tí mo bá rò pé. A ní Samson jọlá. Òun ló gbé wa débi. Ó máa recognize president Toyin. Àpáta ńlá ni ẹ́. Àpáta ńlá ni ẹ́. Ewé tí òkun. Ewé tí òkun. Toyin Falola, bí ló pé kọ́ Ọlọ́run kò fi dá ẹ lọ́lá. Bí ló pé kọ́ Ọlọ́run kò fi dá ẹ lọ́lá. Ìbàdàn nílé Olúyọ̀lé, ọba jẹ̀gbẹ̀dẹ̀ karahun, ọba alágbàlá yáyà, àgbàlá olùwàlá, ó fi kó bá bẹ́ẹ̀ lómi lọ. Òkè arímọ níwájú sẹ́ni ilé bàbá mi, Toyin Falola, padà gbọ́dọ̀ ọjọ́. Kí ló pé kọ́ Ọlọ́run tó fi dá ẹ lọ́lá? Kí ló pé kọ́ Ọlọ́run tó fi dá ẹ lọ́lá? Kí ló pé kọ́ Ọlọ́run tó fi dá ẹ síná? Kí ló pé kọ́ Ọlọ́run tó fi dá ẹ lọ́lá? Tó ṣe índómì kọ́ Ọlọ́run. Ọlọ́run tó fi dá ẹ lọ́lá. Ìlú kẹ́kọ̀ọ́ Ọlọ́run tó fi dá ẹ lọ́lá. Tó ṣe índómì fún Ọlọ́run ìdòwò. Ogún yóò ti gbà fún Ọlọ́run jẹ. Ó ti gbà fún Ọlọ́run jẹ. Ìṣègùn fún Ọlọ́run. Kí ló gbé fún Ọlọ́run kò fi dá ẹ lọ́lá? Kí ló gbé fún Ọlọ́run kò fi dá ẹ lọ́lá?
For some of us that do not understand the song, what they are trying to say with the song is, what exactly did you give to God that makes him to preserve you this far? And the father asks, if we have cooked noodles for the Lord, did you prepare shawarma? Did you prepare plantain or isiewu? That isiewu part, it's important. I'd like to recognize friend of the celebrants, Chief Labi Adeyemo. Thank you very much, Chief. We appreciate you. Thank you for coming. We also like to recognize the Deputy Vice-Chancellor, Lead City University, Professor Olushola Ladokun. Thank you very much, ma'am. Professor Falako Francis, all the way from the Department of Religious Studies, University of Lagos. Dr. Filani is the former provost of FC Oshiele. Thank you very much. Professor Jayoba is from Obafemi Awolowo University. Thank you so much. The provost of FC Technica, Akoka, Lagos, Dr. Aziz Adedamola Wahab is also here. Thank you so very much for coming. Next is the oration of honorary, and it's to be done by the chairman of all chairmen. Please make welcome the chairman planning committee, Associate Professor Samson Ijaola.
The Vice-Chancellor, sir, and the special guest of honor of this occasion. Not without a great sense of respect, awe, and reverence, I stand today to present an oration of a hero. And whom am I to make a panegyric of such this acclaimed father of ancestral studies, a novel discipline in African studies, most cited and celebrated African historian, and a leading figure in African scholarship and humanities without crashing the machete on the ground. A colossus and enigma. In fact, without missing word, an icon of intellectual productivity and academic excellence. January 1, 1953 came with a divine gift through Adeyemo in Ibadan to the world. The gift was a joyful one of a joyful son baby to Falola's family. The distinguished professor, Toyin Falola, was born amidst the shout and celebration of Happy New Year. He obtained his BA and PhD in history 1981 at the then University of Ile-Ife, now Obafemi Awolowo in Nigeria. In December 2020, he earned academic D.Litt in humanities from the University of Ibadan, a fellow of the Historical Society of Nigeria and of Nigerian Academy of Letters. Falola began a working career as a primary school teacher in Ajayi, Ogun State. In 1970, and by 1981, he was a lecturer at the University of Ife. He joined the faculty at the University of Texas at Austin in 1991. And also he had short-time teaching appointment at the University of Cambridge in England, York University in Canada, Smith College, Massachusetts, in the United States, the Australian National University in Canberra, Australia, and the Nigerian Institute of International Affairs in Lagos, Nigeria. Toyin Falola is the Jacob and Francis Senga Mosika Chair in Humanities and University Distinguished Teaching Professor at the University of Texas at Austin. And most recently, the Cloggett Chair of the Countries and Culture of the South, the Library of Congress in Washington, D.C. He is a celebrated author, editor, writer, poet, academic leader, organizer, teacher, Pan-Africanist, and a visionary of extraordinary grace, talented in variety of fair. An author and editor of over 260 books on Africa and the African diaspora. Not that alone. He has over 800 scholarly publications across various fields in humanities and others. He is seasoned speaker in all continents and in over 60 countries, and widely proclaimed as Africa's preeminent historian, one of the major intellectuals of our time. Many of his books define various fields and inspired the writing of various critical works. He managed 6 distinguished scholarly monograph series and served on the board of over 20 journals. A global icon in African studies, Toyin Falola has received 28 honorary degrees and still counting. Professor Falola has received various awards and honors in various parts of the world. At the University of Texas at Austin, he received the Jean Holloway Award for Teaching Excellence, the Texas Exit Teaching Award, the Chancellor Council Outstanding Teaching Award, Outstanding Graduate Teaching Award, and the Career Research Excellence Award. His lifetime career awards are over 24, including 3 Yoruba Chieftaincy titles, most notably Boba Kwito of Ibadan, Boba Gbimo of Ugboland, Mayegun of Ilawe-Ekiti, and Agbake. He is also title chief among the Ga people of Ghana and the Nkenga Eze of Atubeshe in Cameroon. He served as the chair of the ASA Exworth Prize for the best book of Africa, the chair of the Marine Clay Book Prize for the best book on African history, American Historical Association, and committee member of the Joel Gogri Prize for the Canadian Association of African Studies. He also served as the vice president of the International Scientific Committee UNESCO Slave Road Project, president of the African Studies Association, and president of the Nigerian Studies Association. He is the current president of the Consortium of Pan-African University Press. It will interest this august occasion that Professor Falola is the first emeritus professor of our great university, Emeritus Professor of Humanities, Lee City University. He is also honorary professor, University of Cape Town, and extraordinary professor of human rights, Free State University. He is the chair of the International Advisory Board of the Thabo Mbeki School, UNISA, in recognition of his unusual contribution to broaden the frontier of knowledge in Africa with unparalleled dexterity and humility. The Vice-Chancellor said, all other protocol duly extended, it is befitting for the Lee City University to celebrate its first Emeritus Professor of Humanities, a distinguished Nigerian, an icon of academic excellence, a dogged researcher, prolific writer, creative and inspirational public speaker, a protagonist of equity and justice, a man of substance, an indefatigable leader, unparalleled African historian, among us, an astute intellectual, fatherly mentor, generous philanthropist, a grand and penetrating change agent with special education. Mr. Chancellor, sir, I therefore respectfully present you to celebrate by the authority of Senate and Council of Lee City University, this dynamic, amiable, indefatigable scholar, professor of professors, who has proven and still proving beyond doubt that commitment, dedication, doggedness, focus, integrity, hard work, passion, sincerity, pays in academics. Please, may we all rise together as we sing with me. For he is a Johnny good fellow, for he is a Johnny good fellow, for he is a Johnny good fellow. And so say all of us. Thank you so very much. A round of applause for the celebrant.
Ladies and gentlemen, please let's put our hands together for Professor Toyin Falola one more time. In this auditorium, we have people who have reached the age of 73. If you know you have not reached 73, please clap for Professor Toyin Falola. I was looking forward to seeing the applause louder. That was why. Thank you very much. Next is a wonderful congratulatory speech, and that is going to be done by Lead City University Chancellor, Professor Gabriel Ogumola. Please put your hands together for Daddy.
Well, Professor Emeritus Professor Falola, that's your status in our books. We're all gathered here to celebrate
a very distinguished academics that carries the banner of excellence from our soil to the rest of the world, for which we are all assembled to say congratulations. Congratulations in celebrating our own, because he's a distinguished member of our council and a distinguished member of the faculty of Leeds City University. And we will classify of the pillars on which achievement of Leeds City University stand. So we're here today to congratulate you and to thank you, and to draw inspiration from this ceremony to show the city who we are in excellence and what we strive for. It is on this basis, therefore, that I bring the congratulations of the entire university, the staff, students of the university, and congratulating you on this distinguished achievement of being 73 years old. Now, I've listened attentively. I have profiled you by googling name, and I have no doubt in my mind where you stand in academic excellence. And we are proud that you are one of us. We are proud that you are part of this city, born in Ibadan, a Nigerian, and an achieving one for that matter. We wish you many years of progress in the coming years. God bless you. How do we celebrate our own? I think that's an important question that we should. We can all start to dance with him one at a time and spend a whole night. Or we can continue to have this party and extend it until tomorrow and so on. But there are many other outstanding ways by which we can continue to acknowledge his contribution of the occasion of this day. One, let us domicile the publications and the writings of Professor Toyin Falola on campus. I want to charge the librarian that let it be that there is no single publication of Toyin Falola that cannot be found in a library. I think that is a charge that I'm giving to the librarian, and I trust and I believe that he has taken note. When Sonny Adeyemo was given the honorary degree of this university, I gave that same charge. And I hope the action of Sonny Adeyemo are in our library. We want and we ask that all the publications of Toyin Falola be found, so that the whole world, if there's any place in the world where they're looking for his publication, let us tell them it's available in our library. I think that would be an excellent way of celebrating Toyin Falola. Professor Toyin Falola walked into us as a single person, started as a young person, rose through the ranks, and he has now become a phenomenon. How do we then develop a movement around the character and achievement of Toyin Falola? And I hope the students are taking note of. When I was young, the first time I saw a red cassock was on the neck of Bishop Vining. And I was so impressed about the red cassock that I aspired to want to wear a red cassock. I didn't know that you have to become, I know that you have to become a bishop. So it then occurred to me on the day of my graduation with my PhD gown at the University of Ibadan, that in fact, my prayer on seeing Bishop Vining's castle has been translated to my dream. Let us produce many Toyin Falola from Leeds City University and from around the environment. That is how to celebrate one of our own. So we want to see in academics, there are various challenges we have here. The topic of this conference, religion, culture, and politics. Toyin Falola is a historian and has translated history into different dimensions. Essentially, how do we decolonize knowledge, basically in all these endeavors? And I think that the challenge is with us, and I think our students will take on the challenge and will continue to expand the frontier of learning beyond our shores. We thank you for your life. We thank you for your contribution. And we thank your wife, especially for her contributions into your landmark. As a scientist, we do spend hours away in the laboratory, and I'm sure as a historian, you are probably looking for one document or the other further away from home. Somebody kept the home for you. Thank you very much. So on behalf of the university, we say congratulations. We celebrate you. And we have put one or two things on the way by which we shall continue to celebrate you. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Please, let's put our hands together for Professor G.B. Ogunmola. Thank you so much. Okay, right about now, I'm supposed to lead Professor Toyin Falola to the cake and cut the cake. It's a two-in-one thing, cutting of the cake. But I'd like us to hold on with the cutting of the cake and go to goodwill messages. I have loads of names for the goodwill messages, and each person had been allocated 120 seconds for the goodwill messages. 120 seconds, and I will do my best to be the timekeeper so as to move very fast. So I'll be starting the Vice-Chancellor of Ajayi Crowther University, Oyo, the first female Vice-Chancellor of Ajayi Crowther University. Please put your hands together for Professor Ebunoluwa Oduwole. Prof has 120 seconds. Ma'am, your time starts MC, thank you. I'm sure you are not, you won't be that serious about that timing, because today we are celebrating a historian, and we know that for history exams, you have to use at least 3 booklets. Courtesy Professor Toyin Falola. On behalf of the entire members of council, management, staff, and students of Ajayi Crowther University, want to say a big congratulations to Professor Toyin Falola on his 73rd birthday. And on behalf of my humble self and my family, I want to use this opportunity to thank Professor Toyin Falola for all he has done for me personally in my life. Professor Toyin Falola has been a mentor. I don't even know how to describe him, because if Professor Toyin Falola has to take a cane to put you on the right footing, he will hold a cane and he will say you should go this way. And you can be sure that there will be no regrets along that line. Professor Toyin Falola has contributed immensely to our lives as individuals and as a university. He was the lecturer, the convocation lecturer of my first convocation at Ajayi Crowther University, November last year. And up till today, the entire university, they keep on singing his song. In fact, at times, the Pro-Chancellor will call me and say, did you read the lecture of Professor Toyin Falola? As if I was not the one that received it. So he kept on reminding me. In fact, because of some of the things he said, he's organizing a program for his people in Ijebu, January 31st, on Generation Alpha. So, and also to say that personally, I've gained a lot from my interaction with mentorship that Professor Toyin Falola has given me. And I would say one of them. I applied for a job, a professorial job in the US. I had to contact Professor Toyin Falola because I know that if he got to know about it, he would so much beat me and ask me why I did not inform him. So I informed him. And I thought it was a simple thing. And Professor Toyin Falola warned me that never should I reply them without contacting him first. Have you worked in the US before? So why are you responding to them? I'll be the one to tell you how to respond. I said, yes, sir. He said, okay, I will organize an interview for you in preparation for the interview. Lo and behold, on the day, he said, I will ask somebody to mentor you. So he linked me up with a professor who left from Babcock to deal with me, not mentor, not teach me what to do. And at the end of it, he said, I'm organizing an interview for you. And at that interview, it was an online interview. Professor Falola started with my library that I use. And he said, not well illuminated from the US. I wonder how he saw that my library was not well illuminated. And to crown it all, he did not only come with this woman, he came with all his students to interview me. And at the end of it, he said they should judge whether I could do the job of a lecturer in the US. Prof, try go. But I thank God because the experience did not just stay at that. I must say that the experience also helped me immensely to achieve this great feat that I achieved today. And for every of those interviews, Professor Toyin Falola was always there to drill me, to tell me. And of course, when he sets his questions, out of about 10 questions, you can be sure that the most important one at least 9 of those questions will come out of at the interview. And one very, very important one, he said, without this vision that you have written, how do you want to fund it? So Professor Toyin Falola, once again, on behalf of Ajayi, Crowther University staff and student management, the governing council, I want to say happy birthday. And to mommy, hey, this woman, no, she's a great woman. Every year, Easter, we're always looking forward to having a party in our house. And she's always there to take very good care of us. Thank you for taking good care of our mentor, our father, our uncle, our professor. Thank you for making him look young every time. We pray that God Almighty will keep the two of you and we continue to protect you, Prof. Sir. Ẹ ti mú kú jẹ, ẹ sì máa mú lọ náà ni. Ọ̀yẹ̀kú, ikú yẹ lórí ẹ. Ọ̀yẹ̀kú o, ikú yẹ lórí ẹ o. Tọdún yìí náà ti yẹ, a dúpẹ́ o. Thank you so much. MC, you want me to continue?
I wish I could allow her to continue, but I was just noting her time. She had 120 seconds to speak, but she has spoken for 6 minutes, 4 seconds. Please put your hands together for the Vice-Chancellor of Ajayi Crowther University. Thank you very much. I did not pre-inform you like I did the other time I met you, that you were not meant to use 2 languages, but you are forgiven. This is Lead City where we lead others and the rest, let me not go further. Next to speak to us for another 120 seconds is the first and the pioneer Vice-Chancellor of Lead City University, Emeritus Professor Johnson Aladekomo. Please put your hands together for Daddy.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's a great honor to give a short goodwill message to Professor Toyin Falola. We've heard about his academic achievements, brilliance, performance, results, character. These have been ably presented by the gentleman who read out about it. But I think one part is missing. That is foundation. Foundation is firmly rooted in the then University of Ife. I happened to be a lecturer at the time, or even maybe professor by the time he was traversing the University of Ife, then called University of Ife, now Obafemi Awolowo University. His brilliance was exceptional. And in those early days, it's quite clear that Toyin was destined for a very high placement, not only in the academic career, but also in the nation, as well as internationally. Exceptional, I say. And when I say exceptional, it's really exceptional. First class honors, prizes and all were there. When he became member of staff, he had to work with some of us who are also on the staff. He was a favorite for being made secretary of various committees in relation to issues relating to staff and students, because I've met him serving as secretary while I either serve on the panel or when I appear before such a panel. And Toyin has shown the exceptional merit that he now displays today. And I'm very happy. Nothing gladdens a teacher more than seeing products of his institution excelling not only in the national level, but internationally. And I really congratulate him for this wonderful performance and being able to sustain the very good things that he has done for us, which we have listened to today. Now, one thing that is clear that we have to bear in mind, I think there was a time in this country where when some politicians or some people in government said history should be abolished in schools. I think I'm right. Can you see why history should not be abolished in schools? We have brilliant minds like this, not being able to use history. One of the reasons they gave was that it reminds us of our colonial past. Why should we not be reminded of our colonial past? Why must we forget? If we made mistakes and we went into slavery, we must tell our children why we went into slavery, what mistakes we made, and what mistakes we are still making now, which traversed us to neocolonialism, and also the mistakes we are still, that Africa is able to sit on perhaps 60% of world resources, and Africa is very, very poor compared to these other continents. These are the minds who can do the analysis for us, how best to govern our various countries to ensure that we come out of that kind of level of performance where we will not be able to exercise our intellect to farm out the best form of government which we should put into practice. Well, I was also present at his wedding in Ilawe. So he's welcome because the father-in-law was my personal friend. So I'm very happy to see both of them today. We call Oga Bishop, only Baba Sistawa. So you are welcome. I'm very happy to see you, and I'm very happy that you have performed excellently and you have maintained that level of excellence. And I also want to advise that as you come into the advanced age, please slow down. Please enjoy yourself. I told you when you came for our meeting, enjoy yourself. Do things that will enable you to maintain that level of intellectual performance. Because that you are getting old does not mean you should not be bright, sharp, witty, excellent, and maintain that level of excellence. Don't overdo things, but carry on as you are doing, and always get in touch. Bele, sister, you are welcome. Thank you. Oh, where are you?
Please put your hands together for Daddy. Daddy did exceedingly well by using 5 minutes, 58 seconds. I'm looking for somebody that will actually break this record of 120 seconds. Next to speak is the former Vice-Chancellor of Glorious Vision University, Edo State, Professor Babatunde Idowu. He also has 120 seconds to speak. Please put your hands together for him. Sir, your time starts.
The chairman, Professor Ogumola, the Vice-Chancellor, other distinguished guests, the high table. Baba, Kabiru, I'm short of words of what to say about Professor Falola. You know, you come across somebody for the first time and it seems that you have been relating for so long a time. That was Professor Falola. I got to know him through one of my distinguished staff then, Dr. Jaola. And suddenly, I just became Baba's son. And always very proud of you when he's talking about you. I'd like to thank you, sir. for the way you encourage us, for the way you inspire us. And I was telling my wife, I said, I don't know how many people that you have elevated, but God who has honored you to bless others will continue to bless you, will continue to encourage you. Your children and your generation will be lifted up. Thank you very much. We appreciate you, sir.
Wow. All the way from Edo State, 1 minute, 18 seconds. Wow. My comment is reserved. Next to speak to whom at this point in time from Polo Club is Chief Tunji Adeyemo from Polo Club. Please put your hands together for Chief. He also has 1 minute, no, 120 seconds, sir.
Hello, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Kabiyesi, you. It's a privilege to know my dearest professor. I'm not going to speak too long. I met him when he came to London to celebrate your grandchildren. And that was the day we met. And since that time, we have been connecting. And it's a privilege to know you. You're an incredible professor. And you all your life. Good health and long life. Thank you.
I love what we do in Ibadan. I love what we do here. He did 31 seconds. Wow. This is good. This is good. This is good. I love this. Thank you very much, sir. Okay. I was supposed to go straight to somebody to talk, but at this point in time, I will pause before I call that person and call His Royal Majesty Oba Dr. Adedayo Adekoya, the legacy of Oduwole Kingdom in Ogun State. Please help me make welcome the Kabiyesi as he also speak about the celebrants.
Thank you. You know, the two previous speakers, you gain time from them. I will spend their time. Professor Toyin Falola is an enigma. I thank Baba who said that we should talk from, I will start from the foundation. I heard that he has been friends to somebody for 40 years or so, sometime. We have been friends for 63 years. We became friends in a very odd way. Professor, he knew where he was going right from the word go. So we met at Molusi College when he came for his A-levels. At Molusi College, we were always facing sciences. He came from, I think, Ibadan Grammar School to read history. So me, I was wondering, why should somebody come and read history in this place? And when we met behind Tashola block, and I said, you know, it's always, like somebody said, once he met you, you are met. So you don't, you know, that, and me, I'm just like that. We just take on each other. Bam. So I asked, why are you reading history? Why are you reading us? He said, why are you reading science? That was the first time I was challenged because people they were just cowing. I mean. He didn't do that. So it's very, very, I don't know. He knew where he was going right from the word go. I wrote a piece, 1,500 words for this event, but I'm not going to read that. In that piece, I introduced the, on that piece, I was surprised, amazed when the keynote speaker said about hybrid of religion. But the topic of my piece was something hybrid religion. So it's very interesting. So we have developed based on the same mentality at DMFCC, 54 alphabets instead of 26 that we're used to. There are some languages that have 12 alphabets, letters, alphabets. Some have, so it was Chinese have 600. So, but we have 600 different languages. So if we have our alphabets binding us together, you find that it's going to be very easy to understand each other, because once we write in the same alphabet, it solves most of the problem we have politically and religion-wise. So that was the topic of that something. But I now found that when Professor Ogen was talking about the issue of Ifa, because I humbly am the President General of the Worldwide Ajayi community, as well as Oba of Oduwole. So it's something that actually interested me. So now I'll just, my Vice-Chancellor, Ajayi Crowther, she related some verses of Ifa. So I'm going to do something like that, because Madam is here. For my friend, this is my friend and brother. We may be, the day we were talking and speaking on phone, and then we spoke for almost 4 hours. We were not about to stop. So I'll now say, I was one only secret verse of Ifa. I want the one tafa Ifa. Àwọn ọmọ awo wọ́n máa ń tafa ọtí. Tí wọ́n bá ń tafa ọtí, wọ́n á máa fọhùn yánranyánran bí iná. Torí náà ìgbà tí wọ́n bá dẹ̀ fọhùn yánran bí iná, wọ́n á máa sọ pé gbogbo ọ̀rọ̀ tó bá jáde láti ẹnu awo ló máa ṣẹ. Please don't mind us. It's Professor Toyin Falola, Toyin Aishola. Wàá ó ti gbó, ó máa tọ́. Madam kí ló kọ yín mà? Bísí, wàá gbó, ó ti gbó, ó tọ́. Nǹkan ò ní ṣàmọ́ yín. Torí pé gbogbo ọ̀rọ̀ kan, ó máa iyì, ọlá tó ti ní, ó máa níyì sí, ẹ máa níyì sí ni. Ṣẹ́rí bá ṣe ń sọ yìí, gbogbo ọ̀rọ̀ táwo bá fẹnu bà, òun ló máa ṣẹ, ó dẹ̀ ti ṣẹ. Mo wá ń kí ẹ lórúkọ àwa ọmọ ọ̀gá Fólì níjẹ̀búgbó, gẹ́gẹ́ bí ọmọ ẹ̀yìn bàbá Tàfà lákànrán. Olúyọ̀lé area, àwa táwa ń bẹ̀, àmọ̀ra wa. Thank you very much.
For we, the Gen Z, it is Adeyemo. Thank you very much, Kabiyesi. The king, as out now, the king that is a medical doctor. Thank you very much, sir. We appreciate you once again, Kabiyesi. Next to speak to us is a wonderful person, the co-founder and CTO, Stealth Tech Startup, and previously the head of engineering, browser company, Meta, Foursquare, Facebook, and Google. Please, can we please switch our attention to the multimedia as we hear from Toyin Falola.
There is that Professor Prof didn't write. So we know Mr.
Check. Ladies and gentlemen, please let's put our hands together for Toyin Falola. That was Prof's son. And funnily enough, Prof has not seen that video before. He's just saying it. That's why I had to stood up from his seat to come and check what was going on. Next is the cutting of the cake. To help us handle this part, please make welcome the University Chancellor as our usher, Professor Toyin Falola, and the wife to the cake area. And I hand over the microphone to the University Chancellor, Professor Jide Ogumola.
The cake. Hey, man. Okay. This cake, 73 TF, made up of books at different level and commemorating and celebrating an outstanding person of our time and someone whom we are very pleased, a pillar of support for all we do. And we are going to ask him now to cut the cake. On a count of 73, not in any random order. So, Professor Emeritus Professor Toyin Falola, on behalf of the university, we celebrate you and we ask you, will your wife put your hand on yours to show her support all the time? And now you are ready to cut the cake. Right? And 1, 2, 3, 71, 72, 70, 73. Congratulations, may all friends and Congratulations. You are most welcome. And God will bless you. So,
Thank you very much to Professor G. Ogumola. Also told to recognize the former Dean, Faculty of Arts, University of Ibadan, a retired but not tired Professor Adeyemo da Silva. Thank you very much, sir, for coming. We recognize you. Thank you. At this point in time, would like the Chancellor to do one more thing before he takes his seat. Just to help us with this particular one more thing. While the pictures are taking place, I would like to hand over the microphone to Professor G.B. Ogumola one more time to do the presentation to the celebrants.
Thank you, sir. Our Falola, sir.
on behalf of Lake City University and all your friends gathered here to celebrate your 73rd birthday, we present you this gift of yours for your use and admiration.
Okay. One more presentation, and that is going to be done by the Vice-Chancellor of Lake City University, Professor Kabiru Adeyemo. Please let's make welcome the Vice-Chancellor.
Congratulations once again, sir. On behalf of the Department of Religious Studies, Faculty of Arts and Humanities, we are presenting this to you, sir, for your outstanding performance and for what you have been doing for us in Lake City. Congratulations.
Next, thank you. Next to help us with the last presentation is Lake City University Registrar. Please make welcome Dr. Mrs Oyebola Ayeni.
So I'm presenting this award to a distinguished academic and role model in humanities, presented to Emeritus Professor Toyin Falola, father of ancestral studies. You have been an inspiration to us all postgraduate students of the Department of Religious and Intercultural Studies, Lake City University, Ibadan. So I'm presenting this on behalf of the students. Thank you. And happy birthday.
Okay. It's time for Daddy to dance a little. It's time for Daddy to dance. As I hand over to the ambassador.
Alayo, 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 ti máa yọ̀ dé. Alayo, 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 ti máa yọ̀ dé. Alayo, ti máa yọ̀ dé. Alayo, 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 ti máa yọ̀ dé. Alayo, 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 ti máa yọ̀ dé. Ọlá pátá tó jọ gbòòrò jọ. Bàbá tó jayé tòun bàbá. Ó jẹ́ máa gbóhùn lẹ́nu mi. A ní torí tó yìí. Òun yẹ jẹ́ kí n máa sọ pé àfìgbà kìí tún. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. Oh yeah. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. Ṣẹ̀bírẹ̀ lẹ́gbọ̀dọ̀ àdúpẹ́. Yóò ṣẹ̀bírẹ̀ lẹ́gbọ̀dọ̀ àdúpẹ́. Tí ọ̀sẹ̀ mi rẹ lẹ́gbọ̀dọ̀ adúpẹ́. Tí ọ̀sẹ̀ mi rẹ lẹ́gbọ̀dọ̀ adúpẹ́. Ẹ jẹ́ ká kọrin sólúwa. Elédùmarè. Àwọn tó dá. Ilé ayé. Ọba tó dá. Professor Toyin máa dágbọ́jọ́ ọ̀gbọ̀n. A níbi tí ó gbà kọjá. Àwọn kan gbà fẹ́ sọdá. Oúnjẹ tó mára rẹ̀ tán. Làwọn kan jẹ tẹ̀mí bọ́. Ó tó jẹ́ bàbàrà fún wọn. Ló fi ṣàrà fún wọn. Torí ọ̀rá àdúgbà ní. Torí ọ̀rá àdúgbà ní. Irú ìrírí. Irú ìrírí. Ìbọn ìta wọn gbọ́. Bí wọ́n rí làwọn kan rí. Bí wọ́n rí làwọn kò rí. Irú ìrírí. Irú ìrírí. Tí wọ́n rí làwọn kan rí. Ṣùgbọ́n àánú. Tí wọ́n rí làwọn kan rí. Irú ìrírí. Tí wọ́n rí làwọn kan rí. Ṣùgbọ́n àánú.
Thank you so very much, ambassadors. Junction, we want to invite our eminent scholar, Professor Falola, to say some things. He wants to thank, he wants to say some things that are quite important. Please, I want us to come inside wherever you are. You would like to listen. You will have to listen to the celebrant himself now. Thank you. Please, a round of applause as I invite Baba Falola.
Let me express my gratitude to Lead City University. Some of you who are here are familiar with this celebration. It's never my idea. It started at Wilmington University in the US. Then the University of Ibadan did TF at 65. Kenyatta University followed. Benue State University did its own last year, TF at 72. Lead City this year. And the universities in South Africa have announced that they will be doing Toyin Falola at 74. In all of these, I don't know the full sponsors. Even the clothes I'm wearing, I did not buy it for myself. It was given to me. So the question, why does one person receive so much generosity? I am unable to answer that. I thank the management, founder, vice-chancellor, chancellor of Lead City University, the council of which I'm a member, family, friends, and associates who are here. Some names are mentioned, and some, like Mosuro, I think he just left, who has the biggest bookshop in the city. Not mentioned. The band, I'm very grateful. They are lecturers at the University of Babcock who put this band together. And I knew them on November 25 when I went there to give a lecture. Thank you very much. The poets, it's the first time I knew that Dr. Mrs. Oyebola is a poet. Donya Guru's daughter. I also discovered our talent today. Journalists from Tribune, they're here. I'm very grateful for your coming here. On occasions like this, we do some new initiatives. And the new initiative we are doing, the Vice-Chancellor has announced it. The announcement of an endowment in honor of Chano Ajayi. The Vice-Chancellor mentioned 2 million, but it's actually 10 million. Yeah, thank you. And on behalf of the universities of Texas at Austin, in partnership with other organizations, we received the mandate to give 2 awards. And the first award goes to the Registrar of the university. Please, kindly come forward. The committee gave her the Formulario Ransom Kuti Prize for Distinguished Public Service. Congratulations. And it is sealed with a certificate and a small gift. And this is what they wrote. The Formulario Ransom Kuti Prize for Distinguished Public Activism and Service is given to an African who has distinguished herself in courageously promoting the common cause of humanity on various fronts. and particularly with respect to women's rights. The person must have demonstrated commitment to taking up the cause of the voiceless and in working with others towards the progress and welfare of women in society. And the award is named after one of Africa's leading nationalists, feminist activists, educator, and national figure. And I'm proud to announce that you are the recipient of this award. Congratulations. Thank you. And the second is the Thabo Mbeki Award for Excellence. It will come with a letter from Thabo Mbeki himself and is aware of this award. It's an award for excellence in leadership, and it has been given to Professor Kabiru Adeyemo, the Vice-Chancellor of Lee City University. The Thabo Award for Excellence in Leadership, mandated by the former president of South Africa, is awarded to an African who has distinguished himself or herself in the public or private sector through visionary dynamic development, people-centered, institutional building, and ethical leadership. The recipient of the award must be a high caliber individual with an unblemished record of outstanding service, either in the public or private sector. The awardee must be someone who is committed to the project of the African Renaissance and African unity. Congratulations. Thanks. And thank Lead City for producing two brilliant citizens who are deserving of this recognition. Thank you.
While the picture is taken on, I would like to invite our seasoned Onireke reciter, Ms. Grace Owoeye, to please come forward and give us the Onireke of this great man, Professor Toyin Falola. Thank you. You're welcome.
Rokoroko tí ò bá ti rẹ́ni júbà ẹni ò mọ̀mọ́ roko. Àní rodòrodò èyí tí ò bá ti rẹ́ni júbà ẹni ò mọ̀mọ́ rodò. Àjọkẹ́ Apẹ̀sà mo tún dé bí alára àgbà yìí dá o. Mo dé nítorí ìtani nítorí Professor Toyin Falola ló gbé mi délẹ̀ yìí o. Ọmọ Olúyọ̀lé ṣọ́nbẹ̀ẹ́nú lé ní Aboròde. Mo pòkú ọjọ́ bí rẹ tòní tó bá ọ nílé ayé. Falola wọn ò sì mọ kíran àwọn bàbá rẹ̀ torọ́ máa kíni yín ẹ̀yin ò ní bá wọn ṣojo rárá. Olúyọ̀lé ní í ṣe lé bàbá rẹ̀ ẹ̀yin lọ máa. Olúyọ̀lé ní í ṣe lé bàbá rẹ̀ ẹ̀yin. Olúyọ̀lé ní í ṣe lé bàbá rẹ̀ ẹ̀yin lọ máa rógun má máa ṣojo. Ìṣọ̀lá o ṣó ń gbọ́ mi gbọ́rọ̀ ẹnu mi. Òní ṣaláyájọ́ ọjọ́ tí ìyá bí ọ sílé ayé o tó kí ìyá rẹ̀ pókó ewu ọmọ. Ọmọ Olúyọ̀lé Ìṣọ̀lá ṣó ń gbọ́ mi gbọ́ lábárẹ̀ ẹnu mi dáadáa. Ìyá ẹni ṣe púpọ̀ lọ́rọ̀ ẹni. Rokoroko tí ò bá ti rẹ́ni júbà ẹni ò mọ̀mọ́ roko. Àní rodòrodò èyí tí ò bá ti rẹ́ni júbà ẹni ò mọ̀mọ́ rodo. Àjọkẹ́ Apẹ̀sà mo tún dé bí alára gbà yí dá o. Mo dé nítorí ìtani nítorí Professor Toyin Falola ló gbé mi délé yìí o. Ọmọ Olúyọ̀lé ṣọ́nbẹ́nu ńlé ní àbòròdé. Mo pò okú ọjọ́ bìrẹ̀ tòní tó bá ọ nílé ayé. Falola wọn ò sì mọ kìnrin àwọn bàbá rẹ̀ tó rọ́ máa kíní èyí ò ní bá wọn ṣojo rárá. Èní ṣàlàyájọ́ ọjọ́ tí ìyá bí ọ sílẹ̀ ayé o. Tán kí ìyá rẹ̀ pókó ewu ọmọ ò gbọ́ mi gbọ́rọ̀ ẹnu mi dáadáa. Ìyá ẹni ṣe púpọ̀ lọ́rọ̀ ẹni. Ìṣọ̀lá o. Ọmọ Olúyọ̀lé o. Ìṣọ̀lá ṣó ń gbọ́ mi gbọ́ làbárè ẹnu mi. Olúyọ̀lé ní ṣe lé bàbá rẹ̀ ọmọ agbọ́ sásá ogun tí ò ní sá. Mẹ́bẹ́yìn lọ máa gbọ́ yàyà ogun tí ò sì tún ní yà. Ìbàdàn ló ní fonídàkanlù kan bẹ̀rẹ̀ lójú ogun ọ̀tẹ̀ gbòǹgbọ̀nà ṣomi ṣùrù láwẹ̀. Ìbàdàn ló òjò, ìlú Àjàyí, ìlú Ìbíkúnlé, ìlú Ògúnmọ́lá, Aródèmọ̀rẹ́ ní lójú ogun. Ẹ̀yin ní Ṣọ́bọ́yọ̀kẹ́ ọmọ oníkẹ́ lẹ́yìn gẹ́dẹ́. Òjò láàárọ̀ mi wẹ̀ nílé Arólú. Òjò mo pé o sì mọ́ bàárẹ̀ ní mi jẹ́. Ìbàdàn mo rẹ́yìn ọrùn yá súnké sí. Nílẹ̀ Ìbàdàn o. Ìbàdàn mọ̀ mẹ́rú ẹrú àsìtún mọ̀ mẹ́rú ọmọ abẹ́rú mẹ́rú lójú ogun. Olúyọ̀lé mo pẹ́ mèsì ọ̀rọ̀ ẹ̀yin ò gọ̀ rárá. Olórí olóògbòjò o ni bàbá tẹ̀yìn jẹ́ o. Ẹ̀yin lọ́mọ arégún tí ń sinmọ́dé nù lé ọkọ. Ẹ̀sà ògbé o. N ó mọ sàpọ́nlé ẹ̀yin gangan ni. Mẹ́bí bí ogun ti gbé bẹ̀rẹ̀ lódì bẹ̀rẹ̀. Ibi ogun ti gbé parí lódògùn pa. Ibi ogun ti gbé yẹ wọ́n lódà ayẹyẹ. Ibi ogun ti gbé dìjà lódì bódìjà. Mẹ́bí bí a ń gbèdì sí lódò kí Agodi. Ibi àti gbọ́bẹ̀ pọ́n ńlá lódì gbé ńlá. Nílé ọmọ Arólú owó. Falola tí ń bàrè nù lé àwọn bàbá rẹ̀ gbogbo ẹ̀ lóye mi yékéyéké. Ìwọ ti bá wọn ṣọdún rẹ̀ lónìí o. Rámúrámú ayé kan ò ní ra ọmú. Ẹ̀gbà ò wá nígbà ọ̀rọ̀ ọwọ́ rẹ̀ dànù. Ẹ̀gbà ò ní gbàre ọwọ́ rẹ̀ dànù. Ohun gbogbo tó bá dáwọ́lé á máa yọrí sí rere ni. Ikú tó yáwó ò wá nípa ọ́. Tán bá níta ló ń pẹ̀sà sí ọ létí. Mo ní ó dá wọn lóhùn wípé Àjọkẹ́ Apẹ̀sà lèmi ń jẹ́. Bẹ́ẹ̀ bá ti gbóhùn mi ẹ ti mọ̀ pé mi ni wọn ò pé méjì rárá.
Thank you so very much. At this point, I want to invite.
Okay, please, let's put our hands together for Ajoke one more time. One lesson learned, don't give up. If you give up, you messed up. Ladies and gentlemen, it is time for Daddy to dance. And I like him to dance in an Ibadan way. Ladies and gentlemen, please let's make... Mommy wants to talk. Okay.
Kábíyèsí o, ẹ ṣeun gan, ẹ pẹ́ fún wa. On behalf of TF Falola's clan, there are so many of us under that umbrella. I say a big thank you to everyone. I love you all. Mo dúpẹ́ wo gbogbo èrò. Kí la ṣe tó tó bẹ́ẹ̀? Ẹ ṣeun o. Thank you so much. Ẹ ṣé o, Keynote Speaker. Ẹ ṣeun o. I don't want to start naming names so that mi ò ní gbàgbé orúkọ èèyàn kankan. But mo kí gbogbo yín. Àwọn ẹ̀gbọ́n mi ló wà lórí tébùlù. Wọ́n ti mọ̀ mí pẹ́pẹ́pẹ́. Àwọn ló gbé mi níyàwó. Àwọn ló gbé ẹrù ìyàwó wá. So wọ́n mọ̀ mí dáadáa. Ẹ ṣeun gan, Prof. We appreciate you. The committee, committee wà, subcommittee wà. Wọ́n ṣáà lọ rẹ́rẹ́rẹ́. Wọ́n put everything together. Adúpẹ́ lọ́wọ́ yín o. Ẹ ṣeun o. Adélébáre o. Àrìnàkórè o. Adúpẹ́ o. Thank you so very much. Ẹ ṣé o. Thanks.
Please, let's put our hands together for Dr. B.C. Falola. That's mommy of Professor Toyin Falola. The ambassador, Jubilation Ambassador, are ready to take us to the next level. But before I do that, ladies and gentlemen, it has been a wonderful honor to hold the microphone on this great, wonderful event of Professor Toyin Falola, 73rd birthday, put together by Leeds City University. We call it the conference. I am delighted. My name is Adekunle Obadimo. You can listen and catch me up on Leeds City 89.1 FM Monday through Sundays. Do have a wonderful and a beautiful 2026. As I hand you over to Jubilation Ambassador, have a wonderful journey home. Thank you very much for coming.
Please, let's take our time. We have enough time to relax. Cake is still coming. That cake came all the way from Cambridge University. So if you see it, it's all books. To be part of the Cambridge. Thank you.
Ẹ máa jó, ẹ máa yọ̀, bàbá mímọ́ ti fàdùn sáyé wa, ẹ máa yọ̀. Ìbálòlá babaláyé mo bá rò ó. Òní ti yẹ ẹ́nà tẹ́lẹ̀ kan lókun. Òní ti yẹ ẹ́nà tẹ́lẹ̀ kan lóṣòro sábàmì lẹ̀wẹ̀ máyọ̀. Lọ́dún àríbá màlúù. Glory to. What shall we do today? Gbogbo yín pátá ti jẹ́ o. Yeah. Today, for we know you are Almighty God. You are Almighty God. When success goes away, you can start. A nítorí Ìbálòlá, Ìbàdàn nílé Olúwọlé, ọba jẹ̀gbín yó, ọba fìkàrà ń pọ̀ rí mu. Àwọn lọ́mọ alágbàlá Ajáyà. Alágbàlá Ògúnmọ́lá, ó tó bá bẹ́ẹ̀ lòdì inú. Ìbàdàn ṣàmú bàárò ìlú. Gàrí olùyọ̀. Toyin Falola. Gàrí olùyọ̀. Kabiru ìṣúgà. Falola. Òkú ti bínú pẹ̀lú báyìí lágbà gbogbo ẹ̀ lórúkọ la púpọ̀ Baládé. Gàrí olùyọ̀. Àmì Toyin Falola. Wọ́n ti yá. Nígbàdàn ni wọ́n bí bẹ́ẹ̀ sí. 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 Ọmọ tí wọ́n Adeyemo. Falola. Sọ̀rọ̀. Ṣebí ibi tí ó gbà kọjá làwọn kan gbà fẹ́ sọdá. Ó pẹ̀ tó bára rẹ̀ dán làwọn kan jẹ̀jẹ̀ níwọ́. Ó tó jẹ́ bàbàrà fún wọn. Ó fi ṣàrà fún wọn. Torí òun àlùbà. Yeye. Ìjọba òdúpẹ́ ìdá ọmọ. Ìwọ̀n rí ìlànà ìyàwó bá mi ká lọ ìdílé wọn mi rẹ̀. Mrs Falola, Adeyemo fara òde. Mrs Falola, ìdòdòdò. Ṣé obìnrin bẹ̀rẹ̀ lọ láíláí? Mrs Falola. Agbóhùn bẹ̀rẹ̀ bí ibi. Mrs Falola, ìwọ ò bá tó rogún wá, ò bá tó rogún wá. Owó ẹ̀yẹ. Àkọ́kọ́ ayé ìlú Bàbára ní. Wípé òun ẹ̀jẹ̀. Àìpàdé gbọ́dọ̀ ọ̀dọ̀ Yàmá Ìṣùkú Yunifásítì. Babaláyé kò bá rò wípé. A nítorí Jídé ìyẹn jẹ́ kí n máa bọ̀ pé orí Jídé iṣẹ́ òwúrọ̀ ẹ àti iṣẹ́ ọ̀sán ẹ jẹ́ kó tó ẹ ṣàyè títí ọjọ́ Jídé òwúrọ̀ ẹ̀dá pé kí kàdá àbí òwúrọ̀ ẹ̀dá